What up, ladies and gentlemen? We have a 53-man roster. Head on over to the YouTube channel. There's the link. I threw it into the comments. I want to be able to see your name. That's what we do. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. Look at that catch. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen, to the NFC North Talk with your host, Russell Wayne. And then here, my partner in crime, the Emmy-nominated main event Mike. That's right. He's got the GQ You just filmed something yesterday that you actually got an Emmy nomination for. So tell them about that, Mike. Tell them about
let's talk about football, man. Let's talk about this 53-man roster.
Well, just so you know, Mike's going to be cooking the hot dogs during the during all the celebration and all the football Sundays. But yeah, let's talk about these 53-man rosters.
I will go on record right now, Russ. If the Lions fucking make it to the Super Bowl, I will do all the cooking and cater the gig for the party.
Oh shoot, that's right. You heard it here first, right there. But we talking roster cuts, final 53-man roster. Give me some initial thoughts while I go collect some of these comments in here.
Well, I don't have a whole lot on the Bears, Vikings, and Packers, but the Detroit Lions, there were some surprises, but not a lot. I mean, there were some places where you and I got it right, and there were a few where we got it wrong. I think everybody's really surprised about only carrying 2 running backs, but real good article on Pride of Detroit that explains it all. I don't know, you might want to throw that out to your viewers, but what it comes down to is Craig Reynolds was released, not waived, right?
Right.
So he doesn't have to go out and sign with anyone. It's very possible, like you said in our private conversation, that Brad Holmes very well could have told Craig, look, Craig, we're going to release you, okay? But there's going to be room on this team for you. We just re-signed you. We love you. We want you. But if we keep you and waive some of these other players, they're not going to come back to us.
Right.
Because waivers and release is 2 different things. Waivers means other teams get a chance to claim you. Craig doesn't even have to field any offers from another team, and he can still make it back on this roster. There's absolutely no way they're going to run with 2 running backs. Cabinda's a fullback, I know, but that doesn't really count. There's no way they're going to run with two running backs. You can book that.
Well, they also kept Julian Okwara, and he was injured. So and they fought to Melifanu. These guys were injured, and I don't think that they're gonna be on the 53-man roster come game 1. I think they're gonna put these guys, because I had to have them on the roster, because if you put them on injured reserve before the 53-man cut, then you lose them for the entire season. So right. Putting them on the initial roster, and then they're going to be able to waive them with the injury, and then they may only lose them for 4 to 6 weeks in that way. So I think that's why they did that. And they were like, hey, Craig, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to waive these guys for injury. And I do believe that they will re-sign Craig Reynolds within the next couple days.
Yeah, or eventually. Or another running back. I mean, if Craig goes out there, he's been released. If another team comes to Craig and says, hey, we want to sign you, here's an offer, who are we to say Craig won't do that, right? Craig will absolutely probably do that. But he doesn't have to. And we don't know what kind of backdoor deal was made between him and Brad Holmes. Maybe he's gone. Maybe he does come back. But either way, there's no way that they're going to start the season with 2 running backs. It's not going to happen.
Well, but it also does depend, because they have done that before. When Dan Campbell was on a team, they did it in New Orleans when they only kept Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. So this has been utilized before. And if they believe in their guys, they kept not too many people. Like Funky Lions fan says here, the 53 man is a little lopsided, 21 on O and 29 on defense. And I think that comes to the depth that we had in the cornerback room and the depth that we had on the defensive line. They wanted to keep those guys. They didn't want those guys to slip out to the general public.
Right. And what happened in New Orleans? Mark Ingram got injured and they brought in Latavius Murray.
Right.
So Dan Campbell has seen that play out. And the last part there of Funky Lions fans' comment, they ain't done.
Right. And that's why when we do our, I did promote our show for this week, where we're going to be doing the 53 man preview, because I really did believe, because by this time tomorrow, they're going to have done a couple of other things, and we're going to be able to talk about
that graphic back up. That's not Patrick Mahomes. Who is that? Is that Chad Henne?
Is it?
I don't know. Is that Patrick Mahomes?
Well, let's hope.
Doesn't look like a 15 on his jersey.
Hey, well, I'm glad that you told me that one, because I didn't put that one. I don't know if I put that one out to the general public yet. I might want to switch that one. I made that one quick. But anyway.
The real surprise, I think the real surprise is, I mean, there were some places where we got it right, and there were some places where we got it wrong, right? We did predict accurately that they would keep both the Quora brothers, at least for now. They would make the initial 53. And we got it wrong. I really thought Chase Lucas was going to make this team. I got that wrong. But you know what? He got beat out by an undrafted free agent. Stephen Gilmore. He got beat out by an undrafted free agent. So it really must have been obvious that he got outplayed in camp, because they used draft capital on Chase Lucas.
I think that I don't know. I don't want to go that far. I think when you look at, and I put this down in my notes right here, you had undrafted free agent Dorsey, undrafted free agent Starling Thomas, and undrafted free agent Stephen Gilmore and Chase Lucas. These guys were all vying for a spot or two on this roster. And really the only surprise to me, honestly, was that they chose Dorsey over Starling Thomas or Chase Lucas. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm not going to crucify them for that either, because they may be thinking, well, maybe Starling Thomas could make it through through the waivers. And for those of you that love Starling Thomas and, oh my God, he played so good, there's no way that he's going to make it through waivers. He can make it through waivers, because they just released 1,100 people in the NFL. And I think that we tend to overvalue our own guys. And wow, because you followed him all the way through camp, and they're not all looking at it like that. I mean, they may make it through waivers. Don't be surprised if Dylan Drummond and Starling Thomas and Chase Lucas make it through waivers, and then they go on to the practice squad, and then all is good.
Well, I mean, DBs are in high demand. You can never have enough of them. And the reason that we followed Starling Thomas all the way through camp is because he's been making a splash.
He's been good.
He's been making a splash in camp. So a young corner who's making a splash, he's got the speed. He's already shown he's got return ability. He's multidimensional. He's going to be in high demand. It's going to be tough for him to clear waivers, but it's possible.
So Robert says, LMAO, don't worry about that, Russell. You won't be making the Super Bowl, so threats of Mike cooking are over-exaggerated. And you better hope that that's not true, because if you ate Mike's cooking, you might just become a Lions fan. So, that's right. The Bears O-line will be ready for the Packers, with the exception of Tevin Jenkins. That's on Dan Finney and Javier Carter when they step in. Who? They got a couple offensive linemen that are just gonna block these guys from the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Green Bay Packers got a pretty good D line, bear down, Mike. I can go through here. Let me see if I'm breaking down. I did pull some of this up for the 53 man roster. On quarterbacks, they kept Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent, and running backs, they kept Khalil Herbert, Foreman, Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer. I guess he is a homer. So he's on the team, and fullback Kahir Blassingame. That sounds like a 1990s like video game. Blassingame. Okay, never mind. Wide receivers,
I like that one.
You like that? You like that? All right, I did too, so that's why I gave it to. Assessment. All right, there. DJ Moore, wide receiver. Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Tyler Scott, Velus Jones, and Equiminius St. Brown, one of the better blocking wide receivers in the NFL right there.
So did I hear you right? The Bears kept 4 running backs?
They kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. If you include
running backs.
4 running backs and a fullback. So wide receivers, they kept 6. Tight ends, they kept 3. Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis. That's a good room. Defensive line, Demarius Walker, Yannick, Rasheem Green, Jones, Andrew Billings, Gervin Dexter, Zach Pickens, Terrell Lewis, and Dominic Robinson. Do you know any of those guys?
I don't, but I got to give it to the Bears. TJ Hawkinson is probably the best tight end in the division, but it sounds like the Bears have the best overall tight end room for now.
Interesting here. They only keep 5 linebackers: Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Jack Samber, Noel Sewell. He made the team. Dylan Cole, congratulations to Noel Sewell. We'll give you that's kind of backwards. There you go. Defensive backs. They got Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Josh Blackwell, Jalen Jones, Terrell Smith, Elijah Hicks, and AJ Thomas. That's pretty good defensive backs room too.
At the top of that defensive backfield is pretty good, but the rest of those guys are a bunch of no-namers. You could easily plug in Starling Thomas and take one of those jobs.
Yeah. And so there you go. For the Bears fan, because we're not going to pretend to know that we've taken a deep dive into the Bears roster or anything, but I wanted to throw that out there because we're not just straight homers right here. Robert chimes in and says, week 1 official ceremony of Jordan Love taking over as the new owner of the Bears for the next decade. The best part is right there in Lambeau Field for all
Lambeau
of the
South.
Bears.
He's calling Soldier Field Lambeau South.
Lambeau
Robert
South
has woken up today on the wrong side of the bed. He is ready to start trash talking. It's not Monday, Robert, but he doesn't care. He's going to trash the Bears every single day of his life. So go, Robert. Give those Bears hell.
So now I have to reread it because now that I know that week 1 is the official ceremony of Jordan Love taking over as the new owner of the Bears for the next decade. The best part is it's right there in Lambeau South for all of the Bear fans so they can come out and meet their new daddy. You like that.
And I love how you talk like that when you're talking about Green Bay's entitled fan base.
That's what it is right there. That is that is right there, Robert. You just encapsulated your entire fan base right there with one beautiful comment right there.
And the best part is we get to show all the peasants who their new daddy is.
Okay, so the Packers kept 4 cornerbacks and only 3 tight ends, so the Packers will bring anyone else in for cornerbacks and tight ends. Let's wait and see. Well, let's go look at that. The Packers wire breaking down the 53-man roster. They kept 2 quarterbacks, obviously Jordan Love and Sean Clifford. And you're on record for saying Sean Clifford might be the starter by the end of the year. No, maybe. I don't know. Sean Clifford looked pretty damn good. I mean, we got to be totally honest when it comes with that. Running backs, they kept 3 with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Emmanuel Wilson, who was one of the camp darlings there. That looked really, really good. Got good speed, good size.
That's the best running back room in the division for now.
For right now. Let's see on the roster. Let's see wide receivers. We got 6 wide receivers: Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Samiori, Torre, Wicks and Malik Heath, no surprises there. That seemed like that was an easy cut. They got just enough players right there. I don't see any surprises there. On the roster for tight ends, you got Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, and Jose de Guara. You may be wanting to look to upgrade that third spot right there, maybe with one of these 1,100 dudes. On the roster for the offensive lineman, David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, John Runyon Jr., Zach Tom, Yosh Nijmin, I don't know, and then some guys after that.
So
forgive me.
Offensive line.
On the top end of it,
that's
for sure.
At the top end, that's a good defensive line. John Runyon Jr., of course, his dad from my hometown, so I got a soft spot for him.
Right, and then they got Rasheed Walker, Royce Newman, Sean Ryan, Caleb Jones, and Luke. Like I said, those are Luke Tenuta. Luke Tenuta. So you got some guys at the back end. You guys probably believe in them, right? So let's see. We got on the defensive, and this is where I think they're really good, Mike. Kenny Clark. You got TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Jonathan Ford, Colby Wooden, and Carl Brooks. And really even the bottom end of that line with Carl Brooks, they've been talking really, really good stuff about him in the camp, that he's doing really well. So I like that room a lot.
That was the guy, Carl Brooks, the guy that you and I did a profile on in the off. A guy we were targeting for, the Lions might be looking at. They take Broderick Martin instead, 3 rounds higher. But Carl Brooks as a 6th-round draft pick making the team, definitely a guy that had an impact in the preseason, and he's going to crack. He's going to see some reps this year for sure.
But that's a pretty good room right there. They got depth too, and they got that kid at a discount too. On the roster for their pass rushers, outside linebackers, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Kingsley Enigber, Justin Hollins, Lucas Van Ness, Brenton Cox Jr. Another good room with a mixture of veterans and guys that they just drafted. Gutekunst has been consistent with drafting defensive guys high, and their defense should be pretty good if Joe Barry comes to the table. And they were definitely better down the stretch last year and breaking that down. Inside linebackers, they got Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, and Tariq Carpenter.
Every time we mention Quay Walker, it should go. And a nice play there by Quay Walker.
Well, all kidding aside, that's a pretty good linebacker room. Devondre Campbell's a good veteran, and maybe Quay Walker will maybe he'll mature up a little bit. Cornerbacks,
maybe who will mature up a little bit?
Baby Huey will.
Who? Quay Walker.
Quay Walker. Oh, cornerbacks, Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, Nixon, and then Kerryon Valentine. He's their camp darling. He's their Brian Branch. From what I was talking to Bill the Packer fan, was saying that Valentine was there on the back end, undrafted dude, or maybe he was a 7th round dude. I'm not sure, but he was a low round draft pick that made some noise. And let's see what else. And safeties, they got Darnell Savage, Rudy Ford, Jonathan Owens, and Dallin Hewitt, and Anthony Johnson Jr. That's where I think that if there is a weakness on this team, it's on the back end of that secondary. So if you are able to run on the Green Bay Packers, I think that is the kink in their armor, because they would be able to set up the play action, which would expose those weak safeties. So I think that when you're looking at the Green Bay Packers, they look strong on defense. The offense hasn't really changed all that much, other than the playmakers that you drafted high to come onto your team. And I think the running game is going to be good. The offensive line seems to be pretty good. And looking at those teams back to back, I'm just going to double down on it. I think that Green Bay is going to put a whooping on the Chicago Bears in week 1 just because of the not sureness on the offensive line from the Chicago Bears.
And we did have a Bear fan come in the comments and say that the offensive line was going to be ready for Green Bay, and he listed the guys that are going to have to step up to make that happen. Sure, that could happen, but on paper, it looks like you're outmatched in the trenches in that game.
And that's fine. There we go. I mean, let's go. So we got Bear Down Mike says, Robert, Bears will beat the Packers down. Justin will be the Packers stepdaddy for the next decade.
Why does it have to be so paternal?
Oh, gosh, that's good. I mean, what a good rivalry that is. I mean, what a good week 1 of football that we got set up here. The Lions opening up the season against the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, going into the enemy territory where they may be without their best defensive player. We didn't put too much stock into it, like a couple days ago when we were bringing it up, but now they actually put this guy on a list, and it's looking like he will miss the first week. So what do you think about that, man? That's crazy, isn't it?
I still think he plays week 1.
You think it's all?
I still do. I still think he plays week 1. He's missing, 1.5 million, or I mean, that's a ridiculous number that he'll be giving up, and he'll be giving up $7 million. I can afford it.
He'll be giving up $7 million total going if he misses out to week 8, which is almost half of his guaranteed salary that he has for this year. And
he gets $20 million a year.
But here's the thing: is they've already put him on a list that clears a roster spot, and they've already replaced his roster spot with a player. So. I mean, and it's not to say that they can't just cut a guy real quick, but this is picking up steam. This isn't a pipe dream anymore that Clark would miss.
They signed Neil Farrell from the Raiders. They made a trade for a guy that plays the same position as Chris Jones. So you're right. They are making preparations to move on without him. I just find it so hard to believe, maybe because we're poor people, that kind of money, we just can't see somebody walking away from it. Right. But, hey, I'll tell you what. It'll be good for Detroit if he does sit out.
Yeah, for sure. So hope we can get a starting back on our practice squad. Detroit Daniel.
No, he's saying Starling.
Oh, Starling. Oh, okay. I missed that. Come on, tell me at first glance, I didn't say get a starting back. Look at that. If you look at it, okay. Sorry about that. But yes, Starling Thomas, that was the biggest surprise for me, Detroit Daniel. I thought that he would be in there before Dorsey was, but I mean, Dorsey came in, he forced a fumble in that last game. He had a nice return, proved that he has worth on special teams as well. I think he can make it through. I think that we tend to overvalue our own players, and we just think that someone's going to pick him up. But there's a lot of players that just became unemployed. So just to think that someone's just going to go grab him. There's a lot of people who flashed in preseason this year. Robert says that the Packers have a roster to take back the North. Get ready for a dog fight, fellas. It's no gimme. Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm happy to be saying that the Lions will be in a dogfight with you because you have owned the Lions for the last, decade or so. I mean, yeah, we are 3-1 with the new regime against you. We got one little teeny thing that we get to hold over you, but you guys have a giant truckload of stuff that you can hold over us. But it's nice to be in a dogfight and that you acknowledge that it's a dogfight.
This team has only won 12 games. This regime has only won 12 games, but a quarter of those were against Green Bay, so that feels good.
Yeah, and I'm not. You like that? Okay, the Bears are claiming waivers right now. I mean, that's true. I mean, that you can get a bunch of good players right now. I mean, a lot of people. This is can't be underestimated. Filling up the back of your roster.
Thanks for the comments. Steve is real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, your yeah wasn't long enough.
Well, it's got the explanation points. Yeah. 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 Who will the Lions get as a second kicker? A lot of talk about a backup. I don't think they're going to have a backup. I mean, if they get a kicker, I mean, Patterson's going bye-bye, right? I mean, they're not going to keep two kickers.
Patterson can't kick the ball to the end zone. And with the new rule, I mean, teams are going to be starting at the 25-yard line. Every kickoff, they're going to be starting at the 25-yard line because Patterson can't get it to the end zone.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think they're going to get a backup kicker. I think they're going to comb through, find another kicker, and boot Patterson.
Yeah, and they've been looking for trades. They've been trying to get, I mean, Nick Folk, I think that he became available from New England because their rookie kicker beat him out. And Nick Folk is a veteran that would be good to bring here. And there were a couple other.
Cade York released by the Browns. You got Robbie Gould released out west. So there are some kickers out there, and I really do believe that Riley Patterson will not be on this team by the third week of the season.
Now, I want to address this one because they don't need him to beat the Lions. He's referring to Clark of him being out in this first game, and I want to push back on that, but I want to allow you to go ahead and give me your thoughts on, does this change if Clark is out? Does this change the Lions' chances to win this game, or is it just a loss no matter what?
Well, thanks for the comment, James Cutler. You are an absolute genius. Right. The Chiefs don't need one player to beat the Lions, or any team for that matter. Come on. I mean, Captain Obvious.
Well, they don't need him to beat the Lions, but I want to tell you something about game planning here when it comes to it. So the Kansas City Chiefs aren't this like impossible mountain to climb. They did lose games last year. It is possible. It is possible to beat them, and when you lose maybe the most dominant defensive tackle. He wasn't just their best defensive tackle. He was the best player on their defense, who happens to be the best player at his position. Yeah. You can argue Aaron Donald, but Clark won the Super Bowl last year. Aaron Donald did not.
Chris Jones.
Or Chris Jones. Why am I saying Clark? Chris Jones.
Because the reason you're saying Clark is because they lost Frank Clark. And Chris Jones accounted for 15 and a half sacks last year. And I'm sorry, James, if you think that doesn't improve our chances, a guy who had 15 and a half sacks, who's ranked he's the 8th highest paid defensive tackle in the league at $20 million a year. If you don't think that helps the Lions' chances to beat Kansas City, you are sadly mistaken. Any team, this improves their chances to beat the champs.
Yeah, you're accounting for 15 and a half. And I'm sorry, I don't know if it was just because I was talking about the Green Bay's defensive line but anyway, you're going to be able to run on a team like that. And when your team is built in the middle, like our team is built in the middle of the offensive line, that's going to change my game plan week one. Hell yeah. I'm going to keep Patrick Mahomes, the $50 million quarterback, on the sideline while I run the ball right down your throat because you can't stop the run. So I'm going to limit possessions right there. So it absolutely helps having Jones out in the game. And honestly, I mean, if they do beat him, that's going to be your excuse. You're going to give them the excuse, right? You're going to say, well, you didn't have Jones, so the Lions can't count. I know you guys. So stop it. Week one sets the tone for the season. LMAO, nobody is scared of Bustin' Fields.
Man, that's 3 comments in a row with LMAFO.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Ass off in Texas this morning.
Right. He's fired up. See, Robert's fired up because football. We're talking about a real football game. And I told you I was going to review the old game. I don't want to review the old game. I'm going to pretend like the Carolina game didn't even happen last week because it was a whole bunch of guys that played in that game that just got cut. So why would we even talk about them, right?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Russ. Didn't Robert come on last week and threaten that he was going to come on the open mic, trash talk, and get a piece of me?
He did.
He did, and he didn't show up. Just want to.
Oh my God.
LMAFO didn't show up.
LMAFO. Well, maybe he had to work or something. Maybe he had a really, really good reason.
Yeah.
Steve is real. Yeah. Hey, Mike, do you think that Bosa will get traded? Because the Niners said that if he doesn't sign by this week, then he'll get traded to some AFC team.
Well, you're talking about John Lynch, the general manager. And guess what? Like homie, John Lynch don't play that. Okay? He don't mess around. John Lynch does it in spurts. He was a hard-nosed, tough player, and he's a hard-nosed, tough GM. And if John Lynch says, if he doesn't sign by this week, we're going to trade him, I believe John Lynch. That team is so stacked up and down the roster. They're the only team that really can afford to lose a guy like Nick Bosa and still be successful. So, yeah, I think that that John Lynch doesn't make empty threats. I absolutely believe it.
All right. Bear Down Mike says that if that trade is true, then Steve is real. Bears better be on that trade talk. Yeah. If there's anybody to be gotten, you know, and you need some help there, if you guys could land somebody like Bosa, I would be on the horn right now if that was possible.
But he did say he would trade him to an AFC team.
Right. So that probably won't.
Nick Bosa to the Broncos because of John Lynch's connection to Denver makes sense to me.
Jeremy Bulrick is getting me on one of these technicalities here because I said 1,100 players. Technically, it's 880 waived player and another 376 as free agents. That is a correction. Gosh. Jeremy comes on this show. He makes me feel smart because I say smart stuff. Like, I mean, I know the exact number right there. Thank you, Jeremy Bulrick. He always has the stats. He's the stat. I missed the stat master, Greg Rice. I wonder if he's going to come on anytime soon. Steve is real. Yeah. it's to an AFC team, babe. There's a wrestler called LA Knight on the WWE right now that he's kind of mimicking Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's kind of a throwback character, and that's where I get that from right there. Dwayne Keane, let's go Detroit Lions, let's go. In week 1, bite kneecaps.
We're gonna bite a kneecap off
and kick Kansas City Chiefs ass. Gosh, I like
Good
that.
Good call, Dwayne.
You like that.
It's a tough road to hoe. It's a tough road to hoe, but I like getting the Chiefs in week 1 if you're going to get them at all on your schedule. I'll take them week 1 with a Super Bowl hangover and no Chris Jones. A Lions team that they might be looking past. I mean, it's hard to imagine that any team is looking past the Lions these days, but I like it. I like it, man. If we can win that game week 1, if we don't lose that game, it's not the end of the season. They're the Super Bowl champs, right? You start our 0-1, you still got plenty of season to make it up. Our back half of our schedule is softer. We're going to be gaining ground huge. We just got to keep Goff protected and healthy.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job at that in the preseason with the Lions only picking up or only having 8 offensive linemen, and all 3 of the extra offensive linemen are versatile pieces. Like the draft pick that they got in the 5th round, Colby Sorsdahl, was cross-trained at all. There's 4 of the positions, not much at center he did, but he played both guard positions and he actually played the tackle position in college. So he's going to back up all the positions. Graham Glasgow is the backup center and the backup right and left guard. Like they did some stuff like that. And we'll see how it works because, you know, they spent a lot of money on that offensive line and they're for the first time since 21.
What if they were
going into it healthy?
Were to trade Bosa to the Chargers, and now Nick gets to play right on the same line with his brother?
I mean, I'm not putting that much stock into trade talks right here. It seems like there's a this guy could get traded. Oh wow, Jalen Ramsey might get traded. Well, should the Lions pick him up? I mean,
the Bears. Every free agent, the Bears think they're coming. He's coming to Chicago.
Jeremy says that Jack Fox can boot it through the back of the end zone. All right.
Oh, there you go. So we do. There you go. Good call, Jeremy. So we do keep Riley Patterson, and we have Jack Fox do kickoffs. There's a solution. Good call, Jeremy.
The Calvin says that we went 5-1 in the division last year, so let's hope to keep that up this year. That's the biggest reason I think that they're going to win the division this year. I don't think that the Lions are going to start out 1-6 again, and they built a team to play well in the division, and obviously it's starting to show up because
5-1, and that one loss was given away by the coach.
And they got that revenge on that loss because they closed out and beat Minnesota pretty handily, and they whipped the shit out of the Chicago Bears the second time they played them.
And if there are any Minnesota Viking fans out there watching, we do apologize that we didn't go through their 53-man roster. But every time we talk about the Vikings, our viewership drops.
Well, I can go through the Viking stuff in here. Let me see if I got any Vikings in here. No, I got no Vikings in here at all. I ain't even going to talk about the Vikings then. They're in witness protection. They know. Why are you wearing those Iowa colors? There he goes. He thinks that you're turning into an Iowa Hawkeye fan.
No, actually, Woody, this is Voltage Modular. This is a guitar plug-in for a DAW, D-A-W, if you know what that is. And it is by Mixcraft, and I get paid to wear this shirt on camera, but thanks for asking.
Awesome. Gosh, it sucks that they have to be shitty Iowa colors, right?
Colors, who cares?
Jeremy says Robbie Gould is 40 and accurate below 40 yards, 45 yards and more, 50%. Why would the 49ers let him go to free agency? So Jeremy does not want Robbie Gould. I really don't either. Chris Jones went to the reserve. That's huge. Now, Jeremy, let me ask you, let's see. When Chris Jones isn't getting through the line, I want to ask you, Jeremy, Chris Jones going to the reserves, does that guarantee that he's going to be out for a certain amount of time, or is that just something?
No, he's on the did not report list, which is not subject to games penalized.
Okay. So it's not like an injured reserve to where
Correct.
They have to miss time. Okay.
On a week for being on that list. He still has time to get on that list. I think there's a deadline for it, and then it does start to kick in some penalties.
Yeah, and this is the point that I was making earlier right here with Chris Jones. Chris Jones isn't getting through the line. He's taking double teams and triple teams to free up everybody else. And Kansas City's really known for the offense. They don't have one of these San Francisco 49er type of stop you on every play type of defense. I mean, if you score,
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
If you take possessions away from him and you're running the football, which I think that's what they'll be able to do without him there, they're going to be able to take possessions away and get Mahomes under 30 points. So if the Lions can score 30 points against this defense, which is very possible, they're not these stellar defenses. And on offense, they have 2 new tackles. They have 2 new dudes that weren't on the Super Bowl team last year. And so everybody calling this a gimme win for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of questions on this team, especially now since your best defensive player's gone.
James' comment was that the Chiefs don't need Chris Jones to beat the Lions, and that's legit, and that's absolutely true, and I don't want to undersell that.
Okay, that's true. And if it was looked at, I think that was a trash talking comment, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but that was trash talk saying, hey, they don't need Chris Jones to beat the crappy ass Lions. I don't think that he's trying to give us an attaboy here. He's saying that the Lions don't deserve to be in the league with the Kansas City Chiefs is what he's saying with that. And correct me if I'm wrong. Come on there and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why I went after you. Jordan says, was Coda actually injured, or was he waived with an injury settlement? A crafty way of snatching a guy back up for the practice squad when the settlement ends.
I don't think so because that kind of lends itself that Chase Coda would not clear waivers. And I find it hard to believe that people are eyeing Chase Coda to bring into their team. They could waive him And if he doesn't clear waivers, and I guess, what are you trying to say here, Jordan? That injury settlement might scare off other teams? Is that what you're saying? If I'm Chase Cota, am I going to go with that? Why would I go with that when if you just waive me, I get a chance to get picked up by another team and get a contract? And if no one does, I just come back to the Lions. So I see what you're saying there, Jordan. I just don't agree with that because I don't think if I'm Chase Cota, I would take that route. There's no benefit for me there.
Right. And it is what it is. They kept Antoine Green in that spot. And the thing is like during the preseason, they had all these wide receivers that were really, now that we know them and we've seen it, that they were all vying for one spot. And they already have Khalif Raymond that backs up the skill set of Amon-Ra St. Brown when it comes in the backup spot. And you got, Josh Reynolds and Marvin Jones, and Antoine Green is that big bodied receiver that they need on the outside. He fits the mold of what they're looking for in that spot. And I don't think it's anything against Cota or against Drummond or anything like that. It's just, you only got 53 spots and you got to pick your guy,
Jeremy Ballreich brought up a great point about Jack Fox doing kickoffs. Perhaps the mindset of Dan Campbell is, hey, from 40 yards out, Riley Patterson's money. Okay.
Right.
He made a 37-yard game winner in a playoff last year. He's money from inside 40 yards. And outside 40 yards, Dan Campbell's going for it on fourth down. Maybe that's the whole philosophy and the thinking behind the way they're keeping this kicker. Maybe they're not in the market for a kicker at all. Because Riley Patterson, if you saw any of the Inside the Den, really nice guy. Really well liked around the league, every team he's ever been on. He's a locker room guy. And for a kicker, that's huge.
Right here, Michael says that the Lions did not play their starters in preseason. Your thoughts? We have a great video that we put out onto our YouTube channel. It talks about it for like 3 minutes, but in the short, I don't think it's going to hurt them at all because the Lions are trying out different things like doing full games and full contact games in their own practices, playing the 1 versus 1s. And they also take the joint practices very seriously where they got lots of full contact reps. They got just as many as you would have in preseason. So I don't think they want to show any of these guys that they have on the starting end.
2 words, joint practices. This is a new wrinkle in the NFL. The old way of doing things in the preseason is over with. Those days are over of playing your starters, unless you're an old school coach like Andy Reid or something who believes in that process and they don't do joint practice. These joint practices are reshaping the way the preseason is handled by some teams, and the Lions are one of those teams. They put more stock into these controlled preseason games where they control the narrative, they control the situation. They can put their guys in situational spots, and they talk to each other, the coaches. Dan Campbell, you said that him and Brian Dable conversed and said, hey, I want to see this out of my team. I want to see this out of your team.
Right.
And they coordinate, and they're getting so much more than a bunch of guys who aren't going to make it in the league out there trying to make a name for themselves. So I think that is the short answer is joint practices. I think this is a non-issue that any of Detroit Lions starters didn't play. These guys are going to be ready on week 1.
And here's the other part of that is even in the preseason game, and then I'll move on. But even in the preseason game, they're running, halfback dive, short passes. They ain't showing no wrinkles. They ain't doing nothing that's difficult in those games anyway. It's a glorified something just for the fans to show people out there. They sell tickets, they sell beers, they sell French fries, and they got a couple extra games. And they're even trying to shave that back because they know this. They know this, that these types of joint practices, and that was fun this year. Reading about them going into joint practices with Jacksonville, them going into joint practices with the New York Giants. So, I mean, I dig it. So Ken Fisher says that the Lions 31, Chiefs 30 is my prediction. I think it's going to be a close game where the Lions win. Cool.
Love it.
Well, listen to this entitlement right here. Move your show to a later time. Not all of us are senior citizens like Mike. We don't all have to be to bed before dark. Besides, you don't want this smoke. I can't take you seriously, Robert. I can't take you seriously.
I love that. That was a great roast. That was a good comment.
What? Somebody's saying that you don't want the smoke while he's behind his little internet keyboard?
Yeah, but this in a row now. The last time it was my glasses. Now it's my age. This guy's taking personal attacks. He looks like Chris Farley on Nutrisystem. He's over here giving me personal attacks. For God's sake, you live in Texas. Shut up.
I mean, but think about that. We've been running this.
Fucking Bandy. Shut up.
But listen to this. I mean, think about the arrogance of this statement. Move your show to a later time. I've been doing this show for like 2 years on the internet. And one of the years, nobody gave a crap. But one thing has been for certain. I have started the show at 7 p.m. Eastern for the entire time. I have been consistent. And just so you know, if you want to be successful in life in anything, you have to be consistent. So, no, I don't want the smoke at any other time other than 7 p.m. Eastern for NFC North Open Mic, which the way that it's been since the beginning of time. No, thank you, Robert. I'm not going to switch my time because Mike's afraid that he doesn't want your smoke. All right. Bustin' Fields. That's original contact that I haven't heard before. Packers are just scared of Justin busting a 60-yard run.
I will admit I am scared of Justin busting a 60-yard run.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Steve said, Russell, you nailed it. I love the LA night. Yeah.
You nailed. You called him on that. He appreciates that you recognize that.
Oh my gosh. Detroit Daniel says we just need to manifest these W's that where Gravy got these players need the winning energy now.
Good call.
Yeah, we're hoping that our teams don't let us down. Jeremy, Ifedi was the first cut signed by the Bill. Who's next?
Offensive lineman. If you're hedging your bet that they're going to make it through waivers, they better be really sucky. Ifedi was the guy I bet they were really hoping made it, because he would have been, right, he was the guy that was on the bubble to get cut.
So Jeremy says that we need to win 3 of our first 6 or it'll be a long. Well, hell yeah. God, if we start out if 3 of our first 6, that if we start out 2-6 or 2-4, that's not going to be good. That would be, 3-3. Gosh, it has to be. And it is a hard road. I mean, you're starting out going into KC, and then you're going to go and you're going to host Seattle, who beat us last year. Yeah, that's a hard first 2 games right there. But you know what? No excuses. You got to win these games now. You know, we're out here talking crap for you, Lions. We want to see it happen. You haven't strung 2 seasons together in a row in a very long time that we can be proud of. It's always like this up and down thing. So, prove that you're legit. And the best way to prove that you can be legit is start out 2-0. Surprise, shock the world. Start out 2-0. And then listen to all of the other fan bases shrink back into obscurity when they realize they can't come and talk crap when it's a real thing. They have a chance to do something. They've had opportunities like this before. The Lions have. You know, you come into the second season, you're hoping to get better, and they always fall flat. So this is an opportunity for them to do something that isn't on that SOL list. And they did it a few times last year too. They don't normally beat 3 playoff teams in a year. They normally don't sweep NFC North teams. So, those are uncommon. Those are non-SOL type of things. And a non-SOL type of thing would be to go into Kansas City week 1 and get a W. That would be definitely not an SOL thing if they do that.
I don't care if we start out 2-4. As long as we win week 4 in Lambeau, I'll be happy. If we start out, because the back half of our schedule, we can win 9 games. So if we start out 2-4, that's still 11 wins. I'm down with that, and I will bring it to Robert. And I don't care what time zone he's in. He's going to hear it awfully hard if we go in there and truck stick the Packers. And I know he won't show up to get it in person, but I will seek him out on the Frozen Tundra Network just to go get him.
You like that, man? Michael says that. What do you think of the makeup of the Lions practice squad will be this season? Thoughts? I think that we're hoping that a couple of the guys that they waived will get through. And that would be really nice because we have the most cap in the NFC North now, more than the Bears. We have more cap space than the Bears even right now. And I think that, going into next year, they're going to have an additional $70 million to spend. I think that they're going to start re-signing their guys. I don't think this is going to be hey, let's go get Mike Evans or let's go get this big high priority dude. I think they're going to just continue to pay the guys that are moving up their roster boards and the ones that,
I can answer this question real easily for Michael. What do I think the makeup of the practice squad will be? All of the guys that clear waivers that we released, and however many of them don't, we'll pick up extra guys from the guys that the other teams released. That's going to be the makeup of the Lions roster on the practice squad. I certainly believe that Dylan Drummond will make it back to the practice squad for sure. I think that all of those offensive linemen, especially Eze, who they've been developing for 2 years now, he's just a behemoth of a man. And he's got to be great on the practice squad, eating up all that space on the offensive line. So I think he's definitely on the practice squad as well. And like I said, the rest of the guys that clear waivers are coming back.
And it's nice to see those guys that have been practice squad guys that get waived, get back onto the practice squad, keep working with the same system, keep working, get better. Because I think that's a really good call right there. A-Dub's in here. Good. We get the change the conversation here. I'm sure that the game between the Lions and the Chiefs will be very competitive, but in most cases, it's very tough to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Right. And it's very tough to bet against the Super Bowl champion in the first game of the next season. The winning percentage is north of 80%. The Super Bowl champion wins their first game of the following season. So all odds, and on the road, they're going to be hoisting the banner. They're going to be getting their rings and their trophy. It's going to be a supercharged atmosphere at Arrowhead, one of the hardest places to play. It's definitely a tough road to hoe, but I think the Lions are up for the challenge.
But A-Dub, here's a caveat for you. The cool thing is when you bet, because betting is legal now, you don't have to bet against the Lions versus the Chiefs. You get to take the Lions and you get 6 points. And honestly, I'm 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get 7 points. And I'm sure that if Chris Jones is listed as inactive, that will swing the point. So if you're going to go get your points right now, get yourself an extra point before they do that.
That's a good call.
And that's a good thing. You get your points on that. So I don't think that the Chiefs, if they do win, they're not going to win by more than 7 points. I don't believe. I think that you could go take that bet. And if it's just for the simple reason that the Lions will go to run the football, they will go to run the football and limit his possessions.
And when you are the king of the mountain, when you are the champion, there's always a chump like Robert that wants a piece of you. And they always want to take a little shot at you. So the Chiefs are used to this, and they're going to be ready too. It's going to be a great game. What a great way to kick off the season. The hottest team in the league last year at the end of the year and the Super Bowl champs to kick off the season. Those NFL scheduler makers know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, look at Bear Down Mike taking the shot. I think we might need to set up a Robert versus Bear Down Mike, one-on-one right there. Bears versus Packers before maybe next week leading into the season, we can get a one-on-one Robert versus Bear Down Mike.
I like it.
You like that? Do you think that we can make that happen, guys?
Robert, you can't get a piece of the champ, Bo. You got to go through Bear Down Mike to get a piece of me.
Well, he'll definitely get a chance to get a piece of you when we're playing the Packers for sure. But since they're playing each other, and this is a big division showdown, this is what we live for here at NFC North Talk with Russell Wayne.
And in this corner, wearing green and gold, weighing in at 290 pounds.
Yeah. Playoffs.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
All right.
I'm going to go with the beard on this one. My money's on Bear Down Mike on that one.
Why? Because it shows up. But here's the thing. It's like, I'm not going to down Robert for having a job and not being able to make it there on that. But I am going to down him for saying that he would be there and then not showing up. That's like
Burger
going
King,
to the lunch
Burger
line.
King has flexible hours.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Oh my gosh, Mike, you're awesome. Oh yeah. We're the flexible schedule. That's the thing. That's like going into your lunch, when you're in junior high school and the guy comes up and says, meet me after school at 3:00. And you're like, yeah, bitch, I'm going to come and kick your ass. And then you don't show up. What does that look like? I mean, I don't even have to say anything about it. We don't have to call you out. Everybody knows. They all know. They kept
no show Jones.
So Curtis Healy says they kept 2 running backs so we could keep all of our studs on the D-line.
I agree.
And he says that a trade is coming. Yeah, that's been rumored out there too. Mike, what is the name of your band?
The 99.
It is the 99. And he's got some
great... up on Facebook, the 99, or you can go to www.the99band.com, or you can go to the 99.rocks.
I love that.
Listen to all of our music for free online. You can download it for free. We don't charge money for our music. You know why? Because no one buys music anymore.
And look at Woody. See, I love it when people put comments in that like force us to promote ourselves. I love that. Here we go. I got you on YouTube. Yes, please go over to our YouTube channel. I heard the experience is much better. And really, I get to see your comment as they're coming through and as the other people are watching it. I mean, the only problem with going live in like 5 different spots at the same time is that I see all of the comments and you guys don't. So I'm trying to get everybody over to one centralized location. It really doesn't matter all that much, but YouTube seems to be the best experience, better than Facebook, to be able to do that. So Jeremy, and thank you for that, Woody. Thank you for getting us on YouTube. We appreciate that. Jeremy says last back-to-back winning season was 2016 and 2017, and that was right around the time where Bob Quinn said that 9-7 isn't good enough.
Let's get rid of our head coach, Jim Caldwell, and bring in a piece of trash.
Yeah, Patricia, Matt, and you can go to mattpatriciastupidface.com. We still own that. I got the bill. Ken Fisher says, great stuff today, guys. Yeah, we're having some fun. This has been like a long time coming. We went through the grind. We went through the grind of the draft. We did shows every single day. We wanted it to be available for football talk every day. And it is hard sometimes. The avid football fans, we appreciate you for keeping the blood alive during the summer when there was literally like 5 things to talk about. But now we just got loaded with a whole bunch of great information. And then we got 18 weeks of fantastic football.
And we will still be here, bro. If the Lions start 0-5, 0-6, if they go 0-17, we will still be here. And
we got a lot of crow to eat.
Big spoonfuls of crap. If that happens, we'll still be here.
Yep. Robert said that he had the recipe for crow, and he was going to make us eat it, and we'll find out. To be honest, if the Lions whoop the Chief, I will be concerned. Whoa. Hold on a second. Let me get my pen out. All right. Oh, I got to write that down. That is that right there. All right. Robert will be concerned if the Lions whoop the Chiefs. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I that's a tall order. I mean, what are we supposed to do? We supposed to buy into that?
No, he's right. if the Lions beat the Chiefs in week 1, I mean, the whole league is going to be concerned about this team. No doubt about it.
You don't think that people will be like, I appreciate
the honesty, Robert.
All right. Let's see. We got Jeremy says, also winning both games in Jersey last year was a road winning streak. First time in forever. Yeah. They crossed off some of those boxes that you made earlier, man, when you have to. If you're going to be a winning franchise, there's certain things that can't be on your box to cross off if you're consistent. Jeremy also says that I still hate that they kept Will Harris over Starling Thomas. Gosh, I don't know. An undrafted free agent. Here's the thing is Will Harris has game experience, and Will Harris was much better as a cornerback than he was as a safety. So, and he did play way better down the stretch last year, like something turned on inside of his head. That's why they gave him an extension, Jeremy. And Starling Thomas actually has a chance, believe it or not, even though we're all Lions homers and we think that all of our players are just going to be claimed up by everybody, there is a chance that Starling Thomas still makes it through.
And I believe that was Aaron Glenn's call. I believe, I don't you firmly believe that Dan Campbell is the kind of guy that says, AG, who you got? Right. And that I believe that was Aaron Glenn's call to keep Will Harris. And we know Dan Campbell likes Will Harris. He said it before.
Right.
And that guy has progressed every year. He hasn't regressed. Jeremy's just got a stick up his butt for Will Harris.
Well, I mean, you're taught in the NFL to have a short memory. Because if you throw a pick six as a quarterback, you got to go right back out there and everything like that. But Detroit Lions fans don't have a short memory. They have the long-term memory. And even if players progress and they start to get better, all they can remember is how awful he was. And when he came out, he wasn't just awful. He was awful as a safety. I couldn't believe that they were keeping Will Harris on this team as a safety. But when they switched him over, he has shown progression, and that's what they're doing is they're developing players. They're developing players in Detroit. I have no problem with them keeping Will Harris.
And he is a holdover from the Robert Quinn, from the Quinn and Patricia era, right? I mean, the Quinn drafted him.
Yeah, and I don't mind you, Jeremy. Definitely, I don't. Let me pull this off here, so we're not. I don't mind you wanting Starling Thomas because I did too. I did a little write up on Starling Thomas. I thought that was an awesome story and where he's coming from. I thought that the battle was between Starling Thomas, Lucas, and Gilmore. These guys were all in a bunch right there competing for like one spot. And the other guys are, I bet you they said a conversation like this, Jeremy, like, hey, Brad, I think that we should, Starling has the best chance to make it through. That's what I think.
Look,
I think we should, look, man, we should waive Starling because we might be able to get him on the practice squad. We won't be able to get Will Harris. Will Harris would get claimed. He's got NFL experience where they don't have the long-term memories like fans do right there. Mike says, I am no coward. You must be confusing me with Bear fans. Oh man, what do you?
You're right, Robert. You're not a coward. You just said you would show up and then didn't. That's not cowardly.
Woody says, I'm shocked over all the Bear cuts. Only 2 QBs on the roster. I don't know.
Well, if you count Justin Fields, that's 2 QBs.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking you kept like 8 running backs. Yeah, let's see. Jeremy says waiver wire grab I'd like is Dwayne McBride.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that. He's got some speed, but
so Dwayne McBride did not make the team in Minnesota.
Nope. They're cutting draft.
Holy cow, Jamez, where are you? Oh, you're gonna hate Dwayne McBride. He's gonna be the next great running back. He didn't make the team. That's awesome.
I do remember that. He said, I'm like, who are you going to replace Cook with? And he was like, Dwayne McBride. And I was actually the one that said that too. When I told him, I gave him kudos because Dwayne McBride had like a 5th round grade and they got him in a 7th round, or it might even have been higher than that in the grade. Oh gosh. LMAO. You see, you want me to put down the chumps Bear fans before I take on the bigger. No,
Right.
you just.
That's it.
I mean, that's true, but there's also the fact that you're playing the Bears week 1. You ain't playing the Lions week 1. What are you going to do?
The only thing I want you to put down, Robert, is the donuts, okay? Put down the donuts. Come out on Monday night and get a piece.
Oh, gosh. But no, we got to change our time, Mike. Yeah, I mean,
that's what we do. Yeah, you're right.
We gotta change.
But by the way, how long did the show run last Monday? An hour and a half, my friends. We were on for an hour and a half. So, Robert, that's 8:30, bro. You're right. I'm too old. I got to go to bed by then, man. It's exhausting ripping Packer fans to shreds all day.
Oh, Detroit Lions can do it. We need to play smart, stay focused, and have fun. We have the coaching and the staff to keep them in check. That's right. Thank you for the comment, Dwayne. That's what we got to do. We got to get focused, and we got to let our training dictate what we do. Keep the receipts for all you bitches.
That's probably exactly what Dan Campbell told him. Look, man, we got to stay focused, have fun.
Yep. And we got to keep. I have been keeping receipts. I have been keeping receipts for the people that come on a show with what they're going to predict is their record now that the season is upon us. Now that there's the 53-man rosters are somewhat established, I do think there's going to be a bunch of changes a little bit here and there at the bottom of everybody's roster. But for the most part, you got your 53-man roster. What's going to be the record? What's the record in the division? What do you think your team's going to finish as? You think you're going to make the playoffs? Throw that in the comments. And that
Russ, I know you don't like to cuss, so I'm going to do it for you. Thanks for the comment, Daniel. I think you should give him a Kirk Cousins for that. Keeping receipts on all you bitches.
You like that?
And that's what we do. We're going to keep the receipts. We're going to hold people accountable, even ourselves. God, if I'm wrong, I mean, man, if the Vikings start out 6-0 and the Lions are 1-5, I got a lot of crow to eat. I got to go to like Crow McDonald's and get a double crow with cheese. Like
Old Crow Country Buffet.
I need an old double. Can I get a double crow with cheese, please?
Hi, I'm Robert. Can I take your order? I'll have a crow burger with cheese.
Man, we're not even waiting until Monday night right here. Scotty Reno in the comments right there. Yes. MCDC said that the players on the practice squad will see action, and they are shopping to fill spots with the best that they can find on waivers. Brad
Holmes has got the plan.
He has the plan. Yep. And he's sticking to the plan, Scotty. And thank you for that comment, brother.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
They have a deep team. This is the deepest Lions team that I've ever seen. We're so deep that he had to think of ways to keep some of the guys that we're hoping to get through on our practice squad. And Jeremy says, boob Quinn.
You like that?
Oh my gosh. Bear Down Mike says Monday 9/4 7 p.m. Eastern 6 p.m. Central. Robert, schedule your lunch break and bring it. Bear Down Mike wants a piece of Robert, man. He wants some of that. This is gonna be a showdown, man. Them coming right out the gate with this Packers versus
I want you, Bob Boa.
Them coming right out and having this division rivalry game right out the gate is something else, especially for our content, because we love talking smack. And I mean, really, we get a marquee matchup week 1, Bears versus Packers. Does the ownership change hands, or does the ownership continue and it becomes Lambeau South right there as Soldier Field?
He says, Robert, schedule your lunch break and bring it. I'm going to take your lunch, buddy. You better pack a lunch.
That is good. That is good.
I'm rooting for you, Bear Down Mike.
You like that.
Man, that he was a shiner turd. Will Harris at cornerback. So ecstatic that they kept Gilmore. They kept Dorsey too, Jeremy. They kept 2 undrafted free agents on the team. They kept Gilmore and Dorsey over 7th round draft pick Chase Lucas too. So, I mean, this isn't just a Starling Thomas thing. I'm sorry. Brad Holmes is like, oh, I'm sorry. I keep giving you really talented guys. You can't keep them all. I mean, sorry. Bears are looking for a veteran quarterback for that 3rd spot. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Nathan Peterman was a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, and this is a good point right here, Brent. Right, congrats to Dorsey for from MCDC's doghouse to the 53.
You like that.
And that is true. I mean, he was the one that went low on Shane Zylstra and ended his season, and he went into the doghouse. He got called out, humiliated publicly by Dan Campbell, and he called him straight out. We ain't got time for that shit. We ain't gonna be. You've
had enough of that shit.
We're not playing like that. And he fought his way out of bad graces and onto the 53-man roster, and he did. He played his ass off in that last game. Had a nice return, and forced a fumble. Put his elbow right on the football. Forced a fumble. Very nice. That's a great call. I'm giving you next.
You like that.
That really embodies what Dan Campbell loves in a football player. When you've got huge adversity like that and you can overcome it and continue to push through it, that's what Dan Campbell preaches all the time. So that's a great call out, Brent.
Oh my gosh. Robert says it's the holiday this Monday. That is true. I'll be home. I'm in the Central Time Zone, Main Event Mike. I'm sorry, I run a business so I can keep eating donuts.
Look, Robert.
You like that.
Hey,
I'm about to get raw. I've about had my fill of this guy, Russ. You've seen what happens when I get raw. It's not pretty. It's not PG.
It's okay. We can't do that on here. We don't want that. We don't want them to see the Raw main event until Monday on that. But Robert, I get you, man. We all work. We all work. I'm a musician. I gig 3-4 times a week.
I mean,
Mike has
call male prostitution a job, then okay.
You like that.
And Mike's work, your work nonstop. They all want a piece of Main Event Mike.
I'm at work here, Robert. Quit bugging me at work, okay? I don't come to where you work and kick the dick out of your mouth, so stop it.
Oh my gosh.
It's my quarterback.
Oh my, that's my quarterback right there. I got to move on before I get myself banned from. Jeremy says 11-6. Lions are winning the division. Kings of the North. And Robert, the thing that why we bust your balls is because you said you'd be there and then you weren't. That's it. It has nothing to do with your job or any of the other stuff.
It has more to do with your team.
Woody says Mike doesn't want my trash cog. They keep saying that. They keep saying that.
Because you're a cop, okay? You're a cop. You can come and find me.
You know why it's hard to win trash talk with you? Because we get through the BS, because we already know you're going to say 1957. We already know that the Packers have got the history, and the Lions have been the SOL Lions forever. Like all the Green Bay Packers, you already know that you only have 2 Super Bowls with your 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and all of that lame trash talk, all the stuff that just brings up points in the history. That's lame. We have trash talk that works on the here and the now with the current teams and the things that are happening right here and right now. And that's why it's difficult for you guys. Mike doesn't want your trash talk. What are you going to do, Woody? You're going to come in and tell that.
I have a lot of respect for Woody. He pulled me over on the Pennsylvania Turnpike once, and he dumped my bag of weed out on the highway, and he let me go. And because of that, I don't trash talk Woody, the Bear fan, hardly at all.
And he has a sweet little a little Hallis Hall Report show that's pretty cool. That if you are a Bear fan, go over there and subscribe or follow the Hallis Hall Report with Mike the Bear Fan. They're doing content on Wednesday nights and Sundays right before the game starts right there. So I'll give you a shameless plug because we do cover all four of the teams here. And I still don't have a Minnesota Viking fan in here bragging about their team yet. I'm looking through.
It is currently 12:20 Eastern time. And Robert's on here behind his keyboard talking smack, but he can't make it at 7 p.m. Eastern time because that's just too early. I get it.
Well, right now he's on his lunch break. He's eating his donuts now. He's saying, "Hey, you need to get some stuff done. Hurry up." You know what? I'm not going to fault you, Robert. Go make that money, brother. Go make that money. One funky Lions fan says Caldwell is a great man, but not a great coach. It was time to move on from him. Sadly, what we moved on to was worse, and that's right. True.
And I'd like to put a caveat on that.
You like that?
I would alter that to say that he's not a great head coach because Jim Caldwell's so respected. He's a very, very good coach, but as a head coach, he just didn't have that discipline. He didn't have that hard enough hand to keep these players in line. So I get what you're saying there, Funky Lions fan, but I can't agree that he wasn't a good coach. He just wasn't a great head coach.
He wasn't a great
man. What a great man he was, and what a class act he was. And I agree the move they made was terrible. And maybe that's why it looks so bad is because who they brought in to replace him wasn't even half the coach that Jim Caldwell is or was. So yeah, that's a tough one. That one will always be tough. Everyone loved Jim Caldwell.
We did, but that was the problem with it. Is like everybody loved him, even the opposing coaches. It's like they knew that he wasn't going to stick a dagger in your heart. You knew that he was going to play not to lose, and that you were always going to have a chance to win the game, which they usually did, because some Hail Mary or some bullshit would happen at the end of it, because he would play in a way where it wasn't like a sense of urgency. And that's the one thing that I love about Dan Campbell over Jim Caldwell, is because Dan Campbell's not afraid to put the game on a line and say, look, if I'm going to win this game, I'm going to win this game. I'm not going to win this game because I didn't lose this game. Like, I'm going to go for it on 4th and 2 to end this game. I am not kicking the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. I am winning this game right here and right now. I'm taking the ball out of your hands. And at least if I lose, it was because of a decision that I made instead of a decision that I didn't make.
Right. He's not afraid to lose the game.
Right. And I think that Jim Caldwell was. Calvin says that Lions fan. Oh, and thank you for the comment. I was one funky Lions fan. You are one of my everydayers on here, and I appreciate you for sure. Calvin says that Lions fans are talking so much crap and haven't won a thing yet. And yeah, and that's because of the way that our team is designed and the way our roster is right now. We're not talking crap. We're just happy that our team looks good right now.
No, I'm talking crap.
So,
you remember that old McDonald's commercial? You remember Calvin? He's the manager now. Calvin, yeah. I am completely talking crap. And what do you mean we haven't won a thing yet? We won 3 games against the Packers in a row. We're going to hang a banner for that. We're Lions fans, Calvin. Yep. What else do we have? You're right. We should just shut up. You know what, Russ? I think you need to fold up this whole idea.
We're done.
I think you need to just close down all the shows. You know why? Because the Lions have never won anything. We should stop talking. We should stop being fans. We should stop watching the games, because Calvin thinks that we should just fold it up and shut up because the Lions haven't won a thing yet. Well, guess what, Calvin? You think we're talking crap now? You wait until we have won something. We're like a starving man that's been thrown a biscuit, my friend.
And a lot of the crap talking is going to sound lame to you. It's like the bullied kid standing up for himself for the first time, being like, you stop talking to me like that. We're not going to think it anymore. and oh gosh, the dorky kid standing up for himself, and it just looks awkward. I understand. It looks awkward, but we can't help
it. Team lives up to its potential in 2023. All the other fan bases are going to be crying harder than Quay Walker in the tunnel.
But let me pose a question back to you, Calvin. You look at our team, if you can actually look at our team objectively and say that we're not going to be good, then that's fine. And that's the argument that you can bring. But if you're just going to tell me we haven't won anything yet, so we shouldn't be happy, then okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's dumb. Jeremy says, I did call Lucas wouldn't make the roster. He did. He made that call. You also made a call that Josh Reynolds wouldn't make the roster either. So I don't know. You make some good calls. You make some bad calls. Steve is real. Yeah. You don't want none. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do every single time when Steve comes on. He gets to be the LA Knight, and I love that you know who LA Knight is, Steve. Thank you for the comment. Peterman will be on the practice squad. Getsy wants a vet on the field. I agree with that. Peterman could make it through. I mean, he hasn't really been that good. I don't know why you would want him there, but at least he was better than PJ Walker was for you. So Detroit Daniel says that, what do you think about the running back share will be with Monty and Gibbs? I'm curious how they're going to use him. Well, if them cutting, their third running back and running with two running backs if that actually leaks into the season, gosh, all you fantasy football owners that picked up Gibbs and Montgomery better just thank the football gods if they run with two running backs, but I doubt it. I think they'll pick up another guy. And I think that Gibbs will get 7 to 10 carries a game. And I think that he'll get 8 to 12 targets in the passing game every game. I think Monty will probably get 15 to 20 carries per game. And then whoever else they bring in will probably get 3 or 4 carries as well. So I think it'll be a little bit like that. Thank you for the question. Thank you for actually asking a question. We like answering questions.
I think behind this offensive line, David Montgomery is going to break out. He's going to have 1,200 yards rushing this year, easily. I think he does 20 carries a game. Book it. He is a bell cow back. He is a 3-down back. He can block in the passing game. He's the perfect back for this system. I've taken David Montgomery in my fantasy league. We have another draft tonight, actually. Are we going to go live for that draft, for the NFC North Open Mic draft?
We might. I don't want to say for sure yet, but just because I haven't talked to my wife yet.
Well, anyway, I'm going to take David Montgomery in every fantasy league because his average draft position is like RB20. So at that value for what you're going to get in Detroit, you heard it here first. David Montgomery is going to win your league when you take him in the 4th or 5th round.
That is awesome. So with that being said, and thank you for that take right there, I'll pose that question out to you, to the people. Your team, who is the sleeper fantasy guy on your team that can help somebody win their league? Post that into the comments. Yes, that's Main Event 365.
I got to plug the show and jump off here, Russ. Everybody at Tennessee North Open Mic every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a trash talk show. Bring your thick skin and leave your feelings at the door. Also, every Thursday for you Lions fans, it's the Main Event 365 podcast show. Broadcasting into Facebook. However, it can be found anywhere where you get your podcast. That's every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I know that's awfully early for you guys in Texas. But 7 p.m. Eastern Time is the golden time, and that's called prime time for you morons. God bless all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, and that's the thing. No disrespect, Rob. We love you because we know that you can take it, and not everybody has proven that they can take it. But I know that Robert is part of the Frozen Tundra Network, and they can take it, and they can give it, and they're some of the finest trash talkers that there are out there. Jeremy says I work until 7 Eastern and I make make the show. Robert says that you're my best customer, Mike. +7. Let me get on here. Gosh, a lot of comments came through here. I got to find where I was. Jeremy says that to think that I think it's funny that the Vikings won the division, but no show to defend that trash defense. Hey, that's true. Maybe we just don't have a ton of Viking fans that, like our show, probably because I've been trashing them for so long. But, Jamez comes on here. Scotty Reno. It's more like being a good man or good coach. You have to get it right. Leader MCDC is the leader that we needed. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Having a coach that's willing to go for it. One that's willing to go win the game, even if it ends up costing you the game. Oh, gosh, you know what? I should put it out here to you guys right there. Who wants to come on to the show? Who wants to come on and have a conversation with me? I know that I'm not main event Mike. I'm not going to trash talk you to death, but I will invite you on here to talk about your team, especially if you're in one of the other fan bases, because I know that we're Lions homers. We know more about the Lions than we do about your teams. If there is a Viking fan in there, I do have the information. I'll tell you who's on your team if you don't know already. Calvin says you got to love these trick plays by Ben Johnson, the creativity that he uses on offense. I love that. Dwayne says that we got Dan, and it's his show, and he's doing an awesome job. Thank you for the comment, Dwayne. Brent comes back in and says, we've been putting our mediocre squad in pads now when we play the Packers. We will be putting our medical squad in pads now when they play the Packers. Sometimes I'm slow and I got to be able to read. I'm not as good of a reader right there. Jeremy says 80% Monte, 20% Gibbs. I like that call. I mean, with Gibbs being a lot more of a pass catching type of guy. And there is Jeremy right into the back.
What's up, Russ?
And also got Woody is in the back here. We got a Bear fans representing right there.
Well, gentlemen.
Howdy.
How are
Hope
you doing?
can hear me. I'm outside.
So, Woody, what was your surprise cut, and who were you happy you kept?
All right, now I can hear you. What's going on? You hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you. I asked what was your surprise cut, and who were you happy you kept on the Bears?
The surprise cuts that I had. I mean, Gibson was dumb for wanting a trade, so I think he was out. My surprise cuts were Webster and Fountain. They showed pretty good poise preseason, so I was kind of surprised with that, those two cuts, receiver-wise. But hopefully the receivers they kept, which will be going tonight, all their cuts and everything on the house, I'll report. But those are my two surprise cuts for right now. The rest I'll say tonight on the show.
Yeah, let me go through here, and we'll look through some of these. I did go through them a little bit earlier. They only kept the two. You only kept two quarterbacks, and you're probably hoping that. I mean, are you hoping that what's his name, Peterman, sneaks through?
No. Well, I mean, I told you from a couple weeks back that PJ Walker will get cut. I knew that for a fact, but I was surprised too about Peterman. But he'll probably make the waivers, and he will probably get on the practice squad. But having a vet on the field, yeah, I understand that. But I mean, how many vets that you keep at, third QB is
there is one surprise QB cut that I saw, and it wasn't from any team in the North, and that was Colt McCoy getting cut from Arizona. So there's a good vet you guys could pick up to be your backup to Justin Fields.
Right.
He was linked with the Detroit Lions too, is possibly picking up him as a third quarterback. I just don't see it though. I think that we're quarterbacked. I think that we're stocked and loaded, and I think that's a lot of smoke for.
And Ryan. I think Aiden Martinez slips through to the practice squad anyways. I doubt anybody's going to pick him up.
Yeah, I don't think we should either. He wasn't that good.
He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't good.
I mean, I think that like when you're looking at what Hendon Hooker is going to be, he's going to, whenever he gets a chance to practice, I think that he's going to be ready to be the third quarterback probably within the first couple of weeks of the season. But
in all honesty, I don't want to see any of the backups unless it's in garbage time and we're up by 30 points at 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, there's another one right there.
Which we'll never see that this year from us.
I got to say his name just because I said I would. Steve, the real. Yeah.
That was one of the quarterbacks that I would love to see what he can do in Chicago too, being a backup as well. You've seen how he did in New England. So that would be interesting.
Yep. Bailey Zappi.
Sarah saying New England not having backups is shocking. That's just a trick. That's a trick. It's like the 53 rosters are there right now, but there's going to be a whole buttload of moving pieces at the bottom of the roster over the next few days when it comes with injuries and stuff like that. I mean, the Lions ain't keeping Iffy on the everyday roster.
Yeah, that's another one that I question, keeping Iffy and letting Brandon Joseph go, because he showed he was decent and somebody may pick him up. I'm not saying they will, but somebody that needs safety help could pick him up.
Well, I think that what they're doing is they're hedging their bets right here. There was a bunch of guys they did that with. Now, Iffy and Julian are, now that they have been on the 53-man roster, if they are on injured reserve at this point, they only have to be out, 4 to 6 games, like the regular rule. If they would have put them on injured reserve before the roster cuts, then they're gone for the entire year. So I think they're going to move these guys from into the IR, open up the 2 roster spots. They'll probably re-sign Craig Reynolds as the third running back. And I don't know, they got the guys that they like, and then they're hoping that Starling Thomas and Drummond and Chase Lucas, that they'll get through to the practice squad and that they get to keep all of them. I think that's what they're hoping for. How many do you think that will make it through waivers?
Out of those guys, somebody who proved it in game playing on the team, Chase Lucas is one that might get picked up by somebody that has a weak secondary room. I see that possibly happening, but Starling Thomas being a UDFA and only showing out in preseason, not in a regular season game, he will probably come back to the practice squad. Mm-hmm. Brendan Joseph, like I said, there's a few really weak safety rooms out there. He's the one I'm more worried about being picked up because he was the 3rd ranked safety going into the draft. So there's a reason he was the 3rd ranked safety. Even though he fell, there was a reason for it.
But if you look at it from, and I believe that we're going to have this conversation in 3 days when we do this, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of little moving pieces and be like, oh, wow, we ended up getting these guys on the practice squad. I had the same conversation with people last year about James Houston. Oh, I can't believe they waived their back. I'm like, he's going to be fine. He's going to come back.
Remember, that was a medical waive too, because he got hurt in that last preseason game. Kind of like the Coda thing. That's why I'm thinking they're going to do the same thing with him. Bring him back, put him on the injured reserve right away for the 8 game.
Right. And that way you're developing all the way through to your 69. And Brad Holmes, or not Brad Holmes, but Dan Campbell was talking about that during his press conference, where they believe in that practice squad guys.
So far, the only rumors that I've seen about trading for a wide receiver with the Lions, they've all been on clickbaitsports.com type pages. There hasn't been anybody like Ian Rappaport or Tom Pellisario or Adam Schefter saying anything about it. So it's been them and content creators that are creating all the buzz around that.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking about too, about our waivers too. Webster was on our team before, so he'll probably be on the practice squad, and who knows about Fountain as well. So, but like I said, they both produced during the preseason, so I'd love to see him on the practice squad, but we're loaded up at receiver, so I'm not too confident about that.
Well, Jeremy, I love that you did bring that up earlier, because I've learned my lesson over the last 6 months of, only going with like Sports Illustrated or Pride of Detroit or some of the credible resources that are out there. And we don't even call ourselves the credible resource. We try to report what we're reporting, but we're just more of opinion based right here. We want to know what you guys think out there of your cuts and everything like that. Colt McCoy to the Patriots. Is this true? Is that
Starling Thomas? Starling Thomas was just picked up.
Oh no! Are we breaking news right here? Awful news.
Yep, Starling Thomas was just picked up by another team. I did call that probably would happen if he got waived.
Yeah, he did
prior.
have a. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything on that yet, but
it was just reported on. Let me go look at the chat. I'll be right back.
Right on. Let's see. Starling Thomas, UDFA. They wave. I'm not seeing it on anything yet, but he could be right. Sometimes Twitter breaks stuff a little bit quicker than.
It was broken one of the other show chats I'm in.
Yeah,
where they're following the waiver wires.
I am not going to report it yet. I don't see it through the starting Google. I did put his name right in there, so he's not coming up on the top news. Squeezed off. Yeah, breaking news highlights 18 hours ago. Nothing recent yet. But yeah, there might be some teams that are looking at him. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if any of those guys got picked up. I was surprised that they took Dorsey over Starling Thomas, but I mean, Dorsey forced up fumble in that game. He looked really good in the return game. And it is a good reclamation, story.
By the way, did Trevor Nowaski make the 53?
No, he did not.
I didn't think he did.
To me, too, that they kept Pittman and then they kept Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I'm assuming probably just for their special team contribution.
See, but Nowaski made special teams contributions too. I'd have kept him over Pittman myself because Pittman is kind of underwhelmed his entire time here. He's made a play or two here and there, but that's just my opinion.
But I keep every time I see a report with Pittman, it's always that he's an ace on special teams. Same thing with Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Those guys, they never were big contributors, but it is important that they do that. And Nowinski wasn't he just a undrafted free agent as well?
He was an undrafted free agent because he came from a Division III GLIAC school. He came out of Saginaw Valley State, but he was the GLIAC's top defender of the year, made their first team all conference, and he was a sub 4.5 guy at a linebacker, which is something we sorely lacked last year was sub speedy linebackers. That's why I wanted him.
Well, we definitely got that now with the improved play of Barnes and Jack Campbell. That room is severely upgraded, and you got Malcolm backing him up right there. And Nowinski, there's another one of those things where you think Holmes and Campbell are saying, "Hey, I think Nowinski could probably make it through the practice squad. What do you think? We think we could get him and then keep all of these guys."
Pittman made it through the practice squad last year, right?
Yeah, but he's got a lot of special teams.
No, I'm just saying he's one of those ones that they took a flyer on throwing out on the waiver wire and came back to the team is what I was getting at. And then he came back and filled in, especially when Rodriguez was hurt that couple of weeks late in the season. He was a rotational guy then.
Well, all right. Well, here we go. Bears just claimed former Colts defensive end Khalid Kareem. I don't know really much about him. Is that
he was a UDFA? It's a good pickup for the practice squad for depth.
Yeah. Keyword practice. Well, 2 words: practice squad.
Right now, waiver claims are going to be all practice squad guys.
Yep.
And like I said, the one that I would rather pick up than bring Craig Reynolds back is Dwayne McBride, just because he's younger and a bigger upside.
And you want to piss the Vikings fans off too.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something else. So we would like that. We do have Sarah in here. I'll just kind of go through their.
Thank God a Vikings fan showed up today, because I thought you all were in witless protection.
Witless protection. And you know what? I'm doing this only for Sarah, because Sarah is, I mean, she was nice enough to show up, and I want to go through these here. So
the photo just came through. Just a second. I'll tell you who it was. The Cardinals picked up Starlin Thomas.
Oh gosh, poor Starling.
Yeah, no. Go to the worst team in the league this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're dumping off players quicker than any team in a rebuild I've ever seen.
Is there any truth? Because I've been hearing rumors that Kyler Murray might not play the whole year. Is that any
he's still
truth to
recovering
that?
from his injury.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to do this for Sarah now. I'm going to go through their 53-man roster. I got it up right here. You kept 3 quarterbacks: Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall. On running backs: Alexander Madison, Keen Ngui.
The weird name.
I can't say it.
Go ahead.
Nkuya, wow. Ty Chandler. And then the surprise cut is the Dwayne McBride, or the surprise wave.
Who they drafted.
Who you drafted. That is definitely that's definitely something that you don't like. On receivers, obviously Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Brandon Powell, and Jalen Reagor. That's pretty good wide receiver room. You gotta like that. Tight ends: TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt, and Nick Muse. That's pretty good tight end.
Kneecap off.
If Hawkinson can get over his ear infection, that should be a pretty good room. Offensive line wise, you got Darrisaw, you got Ezra Cleveland, Bradbury, Ingram, Brian O'Neill, center Austin Schlottman, and then guard Blake Brandel, and a tackle that I can't pronounce. And let's moving through the defensive line. We got Dean Lowry, Harrison Phillips, Tonga, Bullard, and Jaquilian Roy. That's a lot. That's a very, very young defensive line. Bunch of unproven dudes on that. Outside linebackers: Marcus Davenport, Hunter, DJ Wonham, Patrick Jones, Andre Carter. That's probably your strongest room on defense. Inside linebackers: Jordan Hicks, Brian Asamoah, Troy Dye, Ivan Pace Jr. making a team. Congratulations to a undrafted free agent making an NFL squad. Cornerbacks: Byron Murphy Jr., Evans, Andrew Booth Jr. makes the team. Meckham Blackman and Thompson. I don't know who they are, but those are your cornerbacks.
Mekhi Blackman was another UDFA they got.
Okay, so you're going all young in there. Harrison Smith, safety. Bynum, Metellus, Lewis
Josh
C,
Metellus,
Jay Ward, and Theo Jackson. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of those guys for you, but that's the Minnesota Vikings team. I thought that you got a really, really young team. You're hoping that those guys materialize.
Russell, you forgot the most important is the field goal kicker and the punter.
Yeah. I mean, you can read all that. I didn't say anything about Jack Fox from the Lions or anything like that either. I mean, we do have the best punter in the league, but that's all good. That's all good.
Most underrated punter in the league.
Sarah says we drafted him in the 7th round. Yeah, but you don't want to cut your draft picks. I mean, even 2 years later, you don't want to cut them.
No.
You want to hit on your draft picks. But,
no, I think she's talking about Mekhi Blackman. I thought he was a UDFA. Okay, he was a 7th rounder.
I think she was talking about Dwayne McBride, but he was drafted in the 7th round too. He didn't look good in preseason. Steve is real. Yeah. Vikings did acquire a running back, Miles Gaskins, today from the Dolphins. That's a move. That's a real move. Wow.
Holy crap.
I gotta give you I gotta give the Vikings some credit on that. Picking up Miles Gaskins as a backup running back and running back depth, that is a good move if he can stay healthy. You got
I was gonna use that word exactly. I mean, it's the same reason why we traded away Swift. It's because it wasn't a question of if he was healthy, it was when he got hurt.
Right. So there you go. No, we drafted Blackman in the 3rd round. Okay, there you go.
Wow.
So that's what you want. You want your guys to make the team. If you're drafting them, are the Vikings making any progress on the contract with Hawkinson? Not that I have seen. He's been faking ear injuries.
I couldn't hear you. I got an ear infection.
What? But yeah, it doesn't look good there. Yeah, the Vikings are just going through cap hell right now. And it is what it is, guys. This isn't even me ripping on you. This is not trash talk. This is reality. And this is what happens when you spend a bunch of money on a guy's going all in on winning the Lombardi Trophy. And you went and you used draft capital. And here you are. You're paying for the sins. You had to cut a whole bunch of guys. You had to get rid of a bunch of guys. And here you are. Now you have to pay said guy. When you spent a 2nd and 3rd round pick on Hawkinson, you knew you had to pay him. You knew that he wanted money, and you knew that he wanted top 10 tight end money. And now he wants to be paid like a top 5 tight end, maybe the best tight end. So
yeah, he said he wants to reset the market.
So yeah, that means he wants to be the highest paid tight end in the league. And are you going to do that?
No way in hell I'm paying him more than Kelsey and Kittle.
No, my goodness. See, I just to bring that up too, Jeremy. I had an argument, and I told Russell this a couple weeks ago. I would take Mark Andrews over Kittle any day of the week and twice on Sunday
because of availability
and age.
Age and availability.
Everybody's saying, "Oh, George Kittle can do this. He can do that. He can do that." No, Mark Andrews is unbelievable.
But the one thing that Kittle does better than Andrews is his downfield blocking. Mark Andrews only blocks at the line. After that, he's a receiver only.
And he gets open.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So to answer your question, I don't think that there's any real progress on that, because I think that your priorities should be in re-signing Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. He's going to want a crap load.
Or go ahead right now, if you actually want to call yourself in an actual rebuild, trade Justin Jefferson for the 3 first-round picks that you can get for him right now.
We have him.
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, if you're honestly thinking about rebuilding your franchise, you can't start by paying a wide receiver $35 million a year. That can't be the first thing that you do. I don't think that Justin Jefferson wants to play on a team that's rebuilding. And I think that the best case scenario for you guys would be to get as much value as you can get, because somebody would pay obscenely for him at this point in time.
So there we go. We were online with breaking news on a waiver wire pickup from our cuts.
We'll give you ours.
That, guys.
That never happens on here. We never break anything. Actually, we've broken a couple things this week. And I think it just gets to be lucky. We go live so much that we luck into some of these breaking news things. Blackman is starting. Yes. Okay. So Blackman, you're saying, is starting over your first round pick, Lewis Seen.
Well, Blackman's a cornerback, so that means he'd be starting over Andrew Booth.
Second round pick, Andrew Booth. Okay. Steve is real. Yeah. Is Roschon Johnson going to get any playing time? I hope so. I drafted him on my fantasy football team.
Oh.
Actually, I drafted Roschon and Khalil Herbert because I'm going to get that running game. and watch Foreman be the man, and that's
No.
it.
So any more
No.
is Darnell Wright going to be back for week 1 there, Woody?
I hope so. We're going to announcing all this stuff tonight on our first Wednesday night show. And I'm hoping because Green Bay's defensive line, Justin Fields is going to be having a long day if we don't have our starters.
I'm finding out who the Lions signed to their practice squad right now.
Sarah says that they kept 4 tight ends, so someone is getting traded. I think that might be a thing too. You guys could still get value if you reflipped TJ Hawkinson.
So Connor Godwin, our DFA guard / center, he got, and also
I had
he
the
picked up
Hawkinson. I
Michael
can't hear
Badgley
you.
again, the money badger.
Michael Badgley.
So I think that what you're saying is something that came through on here because you are cutting out
For
really
Dave
bad.
Burkett.
So Dave Burkett says we get Badgley. God, that's underwhelming, isn't it?
Badgley back to the practice squad.
He did good for us. We'll hand him off to you.
Sarah says
Covington
that,
got claimed at a charge.
Jeremy, I'm going to have to get you out and bring you back in because you're cutting out massively
I mean,
bad.
the thing about this comment too is that we're not trading JJ. I understand that you said that he doesn't want to be on a rebuild. You know, as a young receiver, I would want them to rebuild around me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think they're going to trade JJ just to rebuild their team. I would just want to be him to get the team get rebuild around him as a young receiver.
Defensive tackle was just claimed by the Chargers. Ifedi was signed by the Bills. Starling Thomas was claimed by the Cardinals. So that's 3 we've lost from our waiver wires.
Yeah, I had high hopes when Ifedi was on our team as well because he was ranked high as an a lineman, and he just took a crap.
Yeah, he did.
Well, we had like a 7-way battle for one roster spot when it came to the offensive line.
Jeez.
And I didn't think that, they were going to like get rid of Kobe Sorsdahl, the guy they just drafted. And, Matt Nelson has been our swing tackle. He knows what we're doing. And Graham Glasgow can play 3 positions on the line, including center to back it up. So them having 8 offensive linemen that are all versatile. Vitae can actually swing out to play tackle. Like there's a whole bunch of different ways that they can use those 8 guys to actually back up.
Sorsdahl's played both tackle positions and both guard positions as preseason.
And I seen the Bears. They signed made the 53-man roster. The offensive lineman from Miami, was it Freeney? To make room. Yeah. So they picked him up for a 6th round pick.
She said it would be dumb to trade JJ and keep Kirk. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is you guys are going into the rebuild. You guys have a completely young roster. And really, if that's your take, it's like you got to re-sign JJ and build the team around him. That's fine. I can subscribe to that. But then you would have to get rid of Kirk, and you'd have to get rid of you'd want to trade TJ Hawkinson and scrap that board and build around the guy with a rookie quarterback. Is JJ really want to do that? Is that why he's charging you? Trying to get
they're gonna offer him the book when he gets
So I do believe that they will restructure him, but re-sign him, but at what cost? What is that going to cost your franchise?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that the Lions, we signed a wide receiver that was really, really good for a long period of time. And sometimes those giant contracts can hamstring your team to where you can't compete because JJ can't win the games by himself. He can sell a lot of jerseys, but if you don't fix that defense, it don't matter. You can put
they're going to be in a shootout every game this year with that defense. That's just my opinion on that.
Calvin says, damn, our leftovers are so popular around the league. That's what you do when you got Brad Holmes. The dude can't miss on.
That's a sign of how deep we were this preseason. If you think about that, when players are being claimed by other teams, that's a good thing.
like we're trying to keep our own players. We ain't going to all these other teams trying to find. I mean, I doubt we're going to get a ton of different players from other teams. We want guys that have been in our system for 2 years. And this is a good sign right here. I mean, I think this is the proof why Brad Holmes is the best GM in the NFL right now, that's acting right now and making moves, is in every move that he's done. And I challenge you. You can call me a homer all you want. I challenge you to find 3 draft classes in the NFL that are better than the last 3 that the Lions had. Go for it. Bring it. Show it to me. Show it to me, because he doesn't miss. He doesn't miss.
The only GM that doesn't miss with their draft picks is the Chiefs. Every single one of their draft picks play every. And every second or under.
Sorry, Jeremy. I have the Hawkinson ear infection. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Every other team, wise, it's been the Lions and the Chiefs playing all their draft picks every year for the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's that. I heard about half of that, but what I think what you said was the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the one. I got to pull them back out again. I'm sorry, man. We're having really bad connection issues with whatever you got going on there, Jeremy. You're still frozen backstage right now. But yeah, I mean, obviously the Chiefs know how to draft because they won the Super Bowl.
Thanks, man.
And
that Pachado, their running back, he's going to have a big year. I just picked him up on fantasy, and he played pretty good for them last year. And without Tyreek Hill and stuff like that, and they still won the Super Bowl. He's going to have a big year this year, I think.
Sarah says you really need to get off American Online. Oh, that's so good, man. So we've broke news today. We've talked about the Bears, we've talked about the Vikings, we've talked about the Lions, and we've talked about the Packers. And I think that we've had a successful show today.
Yep.
And I've actually gotten through at least everybody on the comments. Had a chance to talk with everybody, and you're getting ready to do this really, really big game against the Green Bay Packers. So you should plug your shows and tell me when you talk about it.
Yep. Starting tonight, Wednesday night. We have our show at 7:30 Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about our 53-man roster, our surprise cuts, and our bad cuts and good cuts. Everything we'll be talking about tonight. And then Sunday mornings, before game time, it's going to be 11:30 Central Standard Time. But tonight's going to be a big show. So we're, welcome everybody to come out and let's talk some Bears.
Talking some Bears versus the Green Bay Packers in week 1. What a great way to start the season. This has been NFC North Talk with your host, me, Russell Wayne. We talk football every day, man. We talk Lions football, Vikings football, Packers football, Bears football. We're going to be here every single day talking about our teams. We get to talk about real football, Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Opening up the season, what a great thing this is for the NFC North to have. I mean, that's a really action-packed week 1 right there. And as we know, it's open mic every single Monday. We get into a little bit of that trash talking. You want to talk some trash for your team? You think your team's better than my team? Well, bring it. Bring your sorry takes. Bring your bad takes, because we got some bad takes too every Monday night. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Bring those bad takes. And now this has been NFC North Talk with Russell Wayne. God bless each and every one of you guys. We're hoping to see you guys tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Peace out.
Bear down.
Bye-bye.
It's not fair. They were so happy. It's not gonna be okay.
What's going on, Russell Wayne and the Main Event 365 Network? This is Jason Kabinda from the Detroit Lions. Here to give y'all a shout out, man. We appreciate all the support, man. Know you guys are big fans. Know that you guys are rooting for us to take the North this year, and we're going to do just that, man. Appreciate you guys so much. Just want to give y'all a shout out. Y'all have a great day.